You are tuned to the FM Gold channel of All India Radio. The COVID pandemic has exposed a lot of lacunas in our development model, be it health or any other sector. While all the progress that we see around us, it seems, is materialized by us, the humans have engineered this all. But what about our own progress? That is, at the human level, how can we improve ourselves? Some time ago, we caught up with spiritual guru Shri Jaggi Vasudev, more fondly known as Sadguru, and tried to explore the core of human existence, growth, progress and spirituality. Spiritual guru Shri Jaggi Vasudev.
Today, as a generation of people, we have more comforts and conveniences than any generation ever. 100 years ago, what even royalty could not afford, today an average citizen has, isn't it? In spite of that, are we any more joyful or even peaceful or loving, or have we become better human beings? No. With all this comfort and convenience, always that is happening is people are becoming more and more confused and neurotic. So this is because you think by fixing the outside, your experience of life will change. No. See, when we say engineering, suppose we say this building is well engineered, what do we mean by that? It simply means it is fulfilling what we want. If you say a car or a machine is well engineered, what does it mean? It is functioning just the way we want. That's a well engineered machine. Is it not very important? Your body, your mind, your emotions, your chemistry, your energy is engineered the way you want. Is it not very important? You can engineer the whole world, but if you have not engineered yourself the way you want, you will anyway be a mess. That's the modern world. By fixing the outside, only your comfort levels will change, convenience level will change, but your experience of life will not change, because human experience is caused from within. Whether it's joy or misery happens from within you, agony or ecstasy happens from within you. If you do not take charge of your inner mechanism, if you do not engineer yourself the way you want, even if you live in a palace, you will be miserable. Today, most of us are living in homes which should have been a palace 500 years ago, isn't it? Isn't it so? But still, are people bursting with joy? They're living in palaces? No, because fixing the outside will only bring comfort and convenience. It cannot bring peacefulness, joyfulness, love, whatever, well-being will not happen, because human experience is caused from within. That's why in engineering, it's not a religion, it is not a philosophy, it is not an ideology that you have to adhere to, you don't have to believe it, you don't have to worship it, you don't have to follow it. You just have to learn to use it. If you learn to use it, it works for you. This is the nature of engineering. It's unprejudiced. It doesn't matter who the hell you are. If you learn to use it, it works for you. That's inner engineering.
There's a call for science and religion coming together for the betterment of society. How far are we away from that dream? Because both are working for, per se, for humanity, but working together.
In this country, we've never had that issue. If you look at the ancient India, all our scientists were yogis and siddhas, rishis, like this. Because here we don't have a dogmatic religion, we only have an inquiring religion. This is a land of seekers. Here, even when so-called divine entities came in this country, we freaked them with questions, all right? When Shiva opened his mouth, his wife Parvati asked him 1,000 questions. Krishna, after many years of friendship with Arjuna, one day he opens his mouth, how many questions he has? So even if you consider somebody divine, all we did with them is ask questions, because we are a land of seekers, we are not a land of believers. So this religion versus science is a European issue, and later on it spread to other places where there are dogmatic religions, so naturally they will confront the seeking of the science. Here, we are spiritual seekers always. For us, we don't even know who we are. That's the most profound question in India. Who are you is a big question. So all others know who they are, who their God is, where he lives, everything they know. Here we don't even know who we are because we are a land of seekers. This is very important, because I do not know is the most significant aspect of your life. If you see I do not know, the longing to know, the seeking to know, and the possibility of knowing becomes a living reality for you. Otherwise, you will assume things and you will believe. If you believe one thing, I believe another thing. Inevitably one day we will fight. You can say whatever you want, brotherhood business, you can talk a lot. But if you firmly believe what you believe is right, and I firmly believe what I believe is right, we will fight. Why can't we be sincere enough to say, what I know, I know. What I do not know, I do not know. What's the problem? I do not know is the greatest possibility. This we must build. This is why in yoga, we always identify with our ignorance, not with our knowledge. Because however much knowledge you have, even if you have digested the libraries on the planet, still what you know in this cosmic space is a minuscule. If you identify with that minuscule, you become a minuscule. But our ignorance is boundless. So we always identify with our ignorance, and always I do not know is lurking in your mind. Because you do not know, you stay alert. All your faculties are at their peak because you know you do not know. The moment you think you know, you will sleep. You may be awake, but you're half asleep. Your faculties are sleeping, they are not alert. Only when you see I do not know, everything is alive and awake within you. This is the nature of this culture. Here, there has never been a conflict because we don't have an organized religion per se. Everybody can do whatever they want in this country. They can worship whatever they want. They can worship a tree, they can worship a rock, they can worship a goat or a cow or a mountain or a man or a woman or a child. Whatever they like, they can worship, because it is about worshipfulness, it's not about God. It is about keeping your emotion pleasant. Because if your emotions become unpleasant, then your intelligence gets all scrambled, your health goes bad, your life becomes bad, the sweetness of your life will completely go away if you do not know how to keep your emotions pleasant. So we devised a system called bhakti. Now people are having love affairs, becomes very pleasant, but anytime it can become unpleasant. So bhakti is like a guaranteed love affair so that always you're pleasant. Your emotions are always in the sweetest possible way. That's why people fall in love with Krishna or Shiva or somebody. He never disappoints you because he never comes and messes with your life. It's a beautiful way of handling one major dimension of yourself, which is your emotion. If your emotions are always sweet, believe me, your health will be fantastic, your mind will work wonderfully well, your life will work out well. Whatever happens, doesn't happen, you're in a great place all the time.
In the time of turmoil, when the whole world is pondering over a lot of questions, the really enlightened ones do remove lots of our doubts. You just heard a conversation with spiritual guru Jaggi Vasudev, more fondly known as the Sadguru, in conversation with Nitish Arora. This broadcast came to you over FM Gold channel of All India Radio.